This beauty, this sheer beauty, is transformative in itself. These trees feel like something different, you know, real beings like ants in Lord of the Rings. Look at these, they're so gigantic. It's really magic walking around this forest with the deodars. It's almost snowing out there. We are finding a little bit of shelter underneath the rocks, and we are warm because of our feathered
friends.
This is our cave for the night, and these are our surroundings. Good morning, we're waking up in a cave. Last night we slept here. Look at that. We had a very good night. We're above 3,000 meters, snow over there, glaciers, and yet we're warm. We woke up really warm, thanks to our feathered friends, of course.
Yeah, I'm in a tank top.
Yeah. Charging our devices, making chapatis for the days to come. And here's our nice little fire. Finally, it took us ages. Last night we even failed.
Beautiful fire I've ever seen. You had to work hard for this.
So the key was to get some bark that never been wet, and it's like paper bark almost. And that went very well, and some pine needles worked well too. And making it on top of a rock rather than the wet grass, I guess that helped too. And Sophie has made wonderful chapatis, look at that. We get more tea, as much tea as we like, much coffee as we like, and much dal as we like. We are rich, rich as. So these mountains have been considered like holy mountains, where a long time ago the rishis climbed these sort of peaks and guaranteed to come back enlightened, because back then there were of course not so much good gear, and there were wild animals like leopards and bears that come and tigers that come and eat you, and if you survived all that ordeal, then you have been transformed. And of course Sophie and I are also interested in this sort of thing. So I've been thinking, what is holy for me? And I think the sacred and holy is everything that we are not. It's not our mind. It's something much bigger than our mind. And I think when you come out here, then that's what you realize, that there is something much bigger than just our mind. This beauty, the sheer beauty, is transformative in itself.
For me, I think holy means connection to God, or this other realm that's beyond what man sees and knows for certain. Yeah, like you can feel something more here, energetically, spiritually. It's already beautiful, but it's like something deeper than that.
Here's where the shepherds sleep, where they make a fire. Here's where the donkeys camp, underneath the prayer flags. And this is the surroundings, and there are the sheep. Hello. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you know what Sophie's doing for hours on end? She's producing a brown worm and she's eating it with relish.
If this hole was any bigger, I would just be eating a lot more Nutella at once. But we went from a jar of glass Nutella to this little squeeze pack. And this is
how she amuses herself on a cold evening.
This is my dessert.
We have very little firewood and certainly no kindling, so I made small kindling with my pocket knife from this stick. It's so tough lighting a fire out here. It's super cold at 3,500 meters. I feel the altitude a little bit. I have to constantly blow in the fire. Sophie is looking for more wood in the riverbed. I don't know if she will find anything. But I am just so happy out here. It's just so amazing to be out in the wild, to get this little fire going, feel a little bit of warmth, and I couldn't be more happy. That cup of tea will taste so good, and that chapati here will be the best chapati in the world. We don't have a bigger bowl than this, so I use my cup to mix up chapati. Just flour, water and a little salt. And just with one hand, I'll try to knead it into a ball. And then later on, I'll roll it out on this and then fry it in a pan. Look at that.
Fine dining here at
Chapati, nuts and Nutella. Good morning. It is somewhere in September. We don't even know the date. The only thing we do know all the time is the altitude.
Yeah.
We're at 3,500. We mention this all the time because it affects us. It has a direct effect on your mind, this altitude. It makes you a little more lethargic. As soon as you do something, you're tired.
breathing heavier,
and you're saying sometimes you got a little headache or nauseous?
Slightly. These last 2 mornings I've had like a slight headache, or no, not even headache, just nauseous. And I was like, is it the smoke? But then I realized today, because it happened again in the tent, I was like, no, it's the altitude. And then for me too, my fingers are a little tingly. That'll happen. And when I was trying to fall asleep last night, my heart rate was just elevated. And at first I thought, did I eat too much sugar? Because I did eat a lot of sugar yesterday. But I was like eating that Nutella before bed. But then I realized, no, that I don't get like this from sugar. It's definitely just the altitude.
So we got medicines for then?
Diamox. I took a half of Diamox. And then I was like out for 4 hours straight. I was drooling. It was a good sleep.
Yeah. And another solution would be caffeine pills?
Yeah. So you can take caffeine pills. I used to take them on Everest just to go to sleep, which sounds a little counterintuitive, but when your heart rate is just like pumping in your head and you just feel it in your body, and obviously you can't really go to sleep when you have this like elevated heart rate, But if you take caffeine, it thins your blood out, and then all of a sudden you're just like back to normal and able to fall asleep. So yeah, just Excedrin, which is like over the counter. I'm sure you could find that anywhere.
Yeah. Another thing is we constantly talk about a fire and short movies in that. It's so different to walk with gas, to walk with no fuel, or to walk with matches or a cigarette lighter to light your fire. Mm-hmm. And of course, in the higher mountains, there is no wood. We were very lucky to find a few sticks this morning, but it's just so different to cook on wood, and we so much enjoy it. Furthermore, if you do try to cook on gas, how are you going to fly with it? And if you don't want to fly with it, you can't. How are you going to find it in India? That's the thing. You can't.
You can't?
I never find any gas canister here.
I haven't seen them, but I feel like a guide said that they brought them.
It must be somewhere, maybe in Delhi.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they're hard to find. So if you run out, then where are you going to resupply? And then you are still carrying the top. That is completely useless.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're happy to go with fire. Well, and the shepherds come by and see a fire, and then they go, just a little bit more respect for us, because they do exactly the same. And sometimes they carry wood, and we've seen sometimes they carry a little kindling and a little rope around for the high places. And yeah, just that little element that makes everything more enjoyable and a little bit more natural.
And I think we also we just plan for, like, some days we are like, okay, the higher we go, we know there's going to be fewer trees, so let's just make our chapatis in advance for the next 2 days. Yep. Or just deal with the fact that we're not going to have coffee or tea on certain days.
Yeah, so we have oats with us, oats, milk powder, raisins, and like things like sunflower seeds, chia seeds, and poppy seeds to go with it. That's sort of a nutritious meal. And we've got sampa, and we've got chapatis ready-made to eat. Yeah. So that will be it. And then the past one we had nuts, but we ate them all. So that's it.
So, Miriam, you are wearing Keen sandals. Do you think you could do the whole thing in these sandals?
Almost could do, yes. Are we wearing Keen sandals, not the same one? I buy one every year. For 15 years in New Zealand, we did everything in sandals because we had to cross rivers all the time. And that's the best thing in sandals. Some people go in boots. It takes 4 days to dry out. The only thing you need boots for is shingle slides when you go down and you get all the stones in the sandals. And when it's super cold. It's okay, but I find them a little heavy. I think one day I could do the whole lot in sandals, that's right. It's barely 6 o'clock and we're already in bed because tomorrow we have the alarm clock for 4 o'clock and we'll be getting up in the dark with headlights and head up that way. I'm a little bit less nervous than the first pass because we did it once. We made some mistakes. We will not make the same mistakes again. We will stick to that track on the GPS and check our positioning every 10 meters and not assume where the pass is, but look on the map. And we will not assume that we found a better route, but just go where the track is. And Sophie is now checking her Gaia and Google Earth. Just see what mistakes we could be making. Look at the landscape, look at the peaks, look at the flat bits that we can see on the contour lines. And that's how we prepare. For the rest, everything is packed and organized in army style. Everything is ready for the morning. All our bags, to put the sleeping bag in and all that. And headlines is there. And what do you think?
Really excited because once we get over there, this will be like a really epic view. On the pass, you can see the desert on one side and then these beautiful lush green valleys we've been walking through on the other. So excited for that. And yeah, we got water, we got food.
Yeah. It's just after 4 o'clock. I just saw the stars outside.
Yeah.
So it's clear. Fantastic news.
You are really jazzed this morning.
Well, I was awake at 2 o'clock looking at the clock and already feeling quite awake. So
You've been awake since then?
No, I was sort of snoozing.
Yeah. Well, I think the good news is I think I got enough sleep. How about you?
Yep. Well, it has to be. This is it.
This is it. Off we go.
Sophie's tying up her laces with very fancy leather gloves.
They're not leather. They're
They look
base layer.
Base layer. They look fancy.
They're a little shiny. I think it's to keep the heat in.
And for the rest, we are almost packed. Tent is done. I just noticed how the brain is not really working in the middle of the night. Like, not that it's the middle of the night. It's 4:30. I put some gear somewhere. 2 seconds later, I've forgotten about it. Really strange. So that requires a different skill. I was just saying to Sophie in the army, they do a lot of training at night, and I see now why. Is this what you had on Everest? The little gloves and the big gloves?
Well, I did have these on Everest, but these were the inners for much bigger mittens.
Mm.
So these are kind of like my little ones.
And this is my version.
Your hands are tough.
Yeah, toughened up by the fire and the wind.
Yeah.
And the cold.
I don't get cold. Okay, final check here.
Yep, done that.
All right. On to the pass.
All right then. So this is my rhythm. Breathe in with every step and just go in first gear very slowly. Every time I stand still, look up and see this. Amazing. Sun is rising, and there is the direction we came from. Another puffy cloud is coming. There's not much snow out here, but these little plants are frozen. These are all frozen. When you put a stick in the ground, it's frozen. It can't go anywhere. Everything is solid. There is ice, a little bit left over. Nowhere near as much as in the summer, when there's still so much ice and glaciers. Autumn is a good time for trekking for that reason. I'm in pain. I had very cold hands and now they warm up too quickly. And then you just feel pins and needles in your fingers. Wow, it's painful. I cooled them down on the rock. I wish I had some snow to stick them in, or cold water, but no such thing. I'm not going to waste water. We don't have so much. This is like 10 minutes agony. I remember this from Kukti Pass when Peter and I walked. It was much more extreme. It was much colder back then. And then the sun came up and I put my hands in the sun. And I didn't know I actually had to cool them down again. If they heat up too quickly, that's when it's painful. So yeah, it's a little tip. Put them back in the snow if there is one. luck to us and the people around us. Yeah. Save the story. I just put on my yak tracks for the first time. I hope I did it right. Just to have a little bit more traction in this section. I think you could do it without, but I'm just keen to test it. There's the path. There's Sophie. I just came over the ice in my yak tracks. And this is the way we're going. You are what you are surrounded by. Here you are just a little particle of this purity, this beauty, this freshness, and eternity. Feeling, Sophie, at the end of the past day?
My dogs are barking and I am plumb tuckered out.
I just woke up after a good 10-hour sleep. I think I slept at 6 o'clock, woke up at 4:30 as though we have another past day, which we don't. And we wake up and this landscape is very, very different. Very dry and it's very cold at the moment. It feels it's definitely freezing.
Fucking freezing.
And we just, because we can't light a fire, because look, there's no wood. We just had a cold coffee.
Ice cream.
It's tasted like coffee ice cream.
It was good.
This is a very isolated village on the mountain.
واشوف